What's up, race fans? I'm Justin with NRN, the No Bull Racing Network, and we're going short track racing this weekend in Martinsville, Virginia. Although I think it's supposed to snow. I mean, has NASCAR ever had a snow delay? I think once before, but this is the weirdest spring I remember. This is a very weird spring that we are having in the South. Spring has officially begun, right? I mean, that's what I thought. I thought it started last week, but so far I have yet to see one solid day of spring. Ready for this winter to go away. But lots of good racing on this weekend. This weekend is also the start to the Formula One season in Australia, and that's where we begin. We start with Lewis Hamilton is picking up right where he left off. He topped the practice charts. However, I don't think Mercedes is out of the woods yet because the top three teams in Formula One, Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes, are all very close to one another, and I mean damn close. We have seen the top teams closer on the charts this week than we've seen in a long time, and I think this is going to make for some fantastic racing this weekend. It could be very close for the win. I mean, Hamilton, he might not be able to run away with this win like he has done in the past, although he is still my pick to win the race. I mean, it's Lewis Hamilton. Can you blame me for picking him to win the race? I still feel like he is going to win, but he may have the other competitors hot on his tail as he does it. But on the one-lap pace, it was Mercedes on top, but they were only on top by 0.12 seconds over Red Bull, and that was thanks to the lap from Max Verstappen. That kid's going to win some races this year for sure. Kimi Räikkönen was third quickest for Ferrari. And check out fourth place on the chart, Romain Grosjean for Haas, the American team. McLaren was also pretty sporty with Alonso posting fifth. So hoping McLaren can have a little better year than we've seen out of them the last two seasons. Of course, they have a new partnership this year. They're no longer with Honda. But that's just one lap speeds. For race pace, though, Mercedes was again on top of the charts, but only 0.1 seconds over Ferrari and 0.2 seconds over Red Bull. It is going to be tight at the front of the field. We might actually get to see some racing like we haven't seen in Formula One in a very long time. I think we're in store for one hell of a battle between Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari, and this is going to be fun. This is going to be so much fun. I mean, even the midfield is looking good. Haas, again, was fourth quickest, only 1 second off of Mercedes, and Renault was fifth. Williams, however, they are not doing so hot. They placed ninth on the charts, 1.8 seconds off the lead pace. So Williams right now has some work to do because right now they are not showing much pace in Australia. But I am just blown away by Haas F1 being fourth on not only the one-lap pace chart, but the race pace chart. And they could score some points in Australia. I mean, their first race, they scored points. So maybe they can do it again. But it's going to be tight for qualifying, and I mean damn tight. I feel Mercedes will grab the pole, but if they make a slight mistake during qualifying, Ferrari and Red Bull will be ready to pounce. And that goes for the race too. In fact, I'm not really sure what to expect for the race with the times being so close. And you know what? I like that. And I actually feel like Max Verstappen will take a good fight to Hamilton. I feel like Max Verstappen will be one of the quickest cars down there during the race. I mean, you know how the cat races. He is the best at overtaking cars. Do you remember Sao Paulo a couple years ago in the rain? How many cars he passed, or was it last year? It was one of those races. It was pouring down rain, and he made up so much ground just passing cars left and right. If he gets anywhere near the top when the lights go out at this race in Australia, he may go up there and really challenge Lewis Hamilton for this win. And he may do that every race this year all the way through the championship. Certainly Max Verstappen will grab a podium. And do you know what will be sweet, though? You know what would be really cool to see? Is if Haas could grab a podium. Now, I know that's stretching a bit, but if Haas could grab a podium, how awesome would that be? I mean, like I said, they've scored points before at Australia. They got those points in the first race they ever ran. I just hope, speaking of points, I just hope that we have a good point battle this season, though, that goes all the way to the end of the season, because the last couple of years, they've been able to wrap it up, and I would love to see a really tight point battle between the several manufacturers that went all the way to the end of the season. And with the times being like they are, and I know this is only the first race of the year, a lot can change throughout the year. But right now, I think we're in store for some really good racing throughout the entire F1 season. And I'm looking forward to it. That's this weekend. Australia. Formula One is back. It's back, baby. Now that Sebring is in the rearview mirror and we've had time to process that race, I feel that Mazda is actually going to win a race. And they might actually win a race this year. I was excited when I first heard the news that Jost was teaming up with Mazda. And when I went down to Daytona to watch the 24-hour race, Mazda was one of those teams that I really wanted to watch. I mean, I'm a Mazda fan anyway. My last 2 cars have been a Mazda. I drive a Mazda currently. So I'm a Mazda guy. But I tell you what, Daytona was rough on the boys. For one, when the cars were leaving the pits, one of the Mazdas, it didn't even start. When they finally got it going, it started the race, but as the time went on during that race, things only got worse for Mazda, for both of those cars. So I didn't expect much out of them at Sebring. They weren't even on my mind when Sebring came around. But they surprised me because at Sebring, both of those cars were looking pretty dang good. So the number 77, they did have a brake issue, but Oliver Jarvis, who drives one of the drivers on that car, he still managed to post the fastest lap of the race. And the number 55 Mazda led 38 laps and ran in contention for the majority of the event. They did have an electrical problem on the car that did lead to a 6th place finish, so their finish really doesn't indicate how well they actually ran during that 12-hour race. But they were looking good. I mean, in Jost Racing, they are no joke. They know how to get the job done. And it will only be a matter of time before that team gets the kinks worked out and finds a win. And I think that's going to come this year. I think towards the latter part of the year, Mazda could pick up a win in the overall class. That's what I think. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I'm crazy or do you think I'm hopeful or a little bit of both? I tell you who else is going to find a win soon if they can ever work out some of those kinks, and that's Team Penske. Those guys in the number 7, they led 31 laps during the race at Sebring, and they were looking like they had a car that could really challenge for the win. In fact, they were sometimes better than the number 22 that actually eventually won the race. But they had some failures as well that took the win away, and then number 6 was involved in an incident shortly after the number 7 went out. But Roger Penske, man, the captain, he's a champion. He's a champion owner. He's won a championship in about every form of motorsport he's had cars in. So I feel like it's only a matter of time before Penske Racing finds the groove, and when they do, that's going to be trouble for the rest of the field. But this weekend, we're going short track racing from Martinsville Speedway, and I'm actually having a hard time picking a winner here, because who knows what to expect at a track like Martinsville. Oh, the tempers are going to flare, and I absolutely love it. We need more short tracks in NASCAR. Martinsville always produces some of the most exciting racing. But Jimmy Johnson, he has always run really well at Martinsville, the old paperclip. And he did get his first top 10 finish of the year at Fontana. So, could Martinsville be the place where Hendrick gets their racing turned around? Can Jimmy Johnson start to turn his year around at Martinsville? And not only has Johnson run well there, but you remember that race last year at Martinsville in the fall? Remember Chase Elliott? He was looking like he was going to win his first career race until Denny Hamlin came along. But Chase Elliott could be another one of those guys that turns their season around or picks up his first win at Martinsville. The frustrations, though, continue to mount for Kyle Busch, who has been second, and third in the last 3 races, yet still no win in 2018. And Rowdy is getting anxious, and Martinsville could suit him. Because you know him, he could just go up there and knock people out of the way as he marches towards the front. Martinsville can do that. Could Kyle Busch pick up his first win of the year in 2018? He's actually a pretty good pick. I might put him down as my fantasy winner for this week. We have a fantasy league, by the way, on NASCAR.com. If you go to NASCAR.com and go to the fantasy, go to the league, NRN No Bull Racing Network. You can join the fantasy league there and play along, pick your drivers and all that. And I'm in second place right now, and I might, having just talked about all this, I might go with Kyle Busch because he's going to be hungry. He's going to be very hungry for a win. So he'll just go up there, do the bump and run and get it. Yeah, I'm going to go with Kyle Busch as my pick. But will Ford be strong, you think? See, because I actually don't think so. I don't think Ford's going to be as good. The Fords weren't very good in Phoenix. They seemed to lack a lot of mechanical grip. There wasn't a whole lot of aerodynamics involved in a place like Phoenix, and they really struggled. So I don't think the Fords are going to be as good. But if any Ford team can get the job done at Martinsville, you know it's going to be Team Penske. They have a very good record at the short paperclip. In fact, Brad Keselowski in the number 2, he won the race last year. If any Ford team is going to get the job done this weekend, it's going to be Penske. But I'm looking forward to our first short track race of the year. Short track racing has always been my favorite. I love short track racing. And we're going to one of my favorite ones, Martinsville. I actually watched a race there once. It's a great place to watch a race, but you have to be part mountain goat to get there because all racetracks are built on a hill. But fantastic place to watch a race. And they have got fantastic fried bologna sandwiches. But now I'm rambling. Lots of good racing on your Sunday. Don't miss any of it. Don't miss the race from Martinsville and the start to the Formula One season from Australia. I'm Justin with NRN, the No Bull Racing Network. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, No Bull Racing Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at No Bull Racing Net. Thanks so much for listening, and take it easy. I will see you after the Martinsville race for the recap. Take it easy.